Super Dave here with another Super Dave review. Super Dave here with another exciting Masters of the Universe review, and this time we're taking a look at the Thundercats plus He-Man Masters of the Universe combo thing, He-Man, and then our new Masters of the Universe 2000X or 2002 version, the cartoon from Mike Young Productions, He-Man cartoon collection. So we're going to look at both of these. First of all, let's take a look at this Masters of the Universe combo with the Thundercats. This is supposed to be the He-Man that goes along with that. And not a big fan of this crossover because I don't really see the point. Wish they had just done a nice Masterverse Thundercats line. Of course, they probably would have just done Origins, but this is basically what this is, Origins, and you can get Lion-O and Panthro, and you can get Chitara, and I think Tigra now. But this is the He-Man version, and it's basically like a crossover. You see it mostly in the sword. It looks like the Thundercat sword, I should say the Sword of Omens crossed with the Sword of He, the Power Sword, aka Power Sword, right? But this is He-Man. He's got long hair. He's got some extras equipped here, but you can also make him look more of a traditional look. So we're going to take a look at him. There is the back side of the packaging. Some beautiful artwork there. You see He-Man in all of his Thundercats type garb fighting Mum-Ra. There's a picture of the face there. It says it comes with a comic book. There's the other figures in this line. Looks like they're advertising Tigra and then Panthro Man. So that's cool, kind of giving you an idea how to equip these things. But that's basically it. You see that comic book there in the background, so that's neat. But then the next figure we're going to take a look at, this is what I really wanted to see, and that is the cartoon collection version of our He-Man and the Masters of the Universe 2000X, 2002. And he's got that traditional 2000X power sword. Doesn't look like there's any color apps on it, but I really like the way He-Man looks. Of course, I have ordered my Mundo He-Man. That'll be in 1/12 scale. This is that, I think they're calling it 5 1/4 inch scale like Origins. But we're going to break him open. There is the awesome looking artwork on the back with He-Man transforming there. And then you can see of course, we were familiar with the special Battle Cat. He had a little different armor going on. Yeah, that's actually Vina, Queen Vina, King Grayskull's wife back there. And then you see Orko. So she was dead by the time He-Man existed, so I'm not sure why they're showing her. Hope we get her in action figure form, though. That'll be neat. I do have one of her in the classics. And I'm really excited about the Mundo line, how deep they're going to go with this, because that He-Man and Skeletor look amazing, and Clawful. I've ordered all three. I've ordered the time-sensitive one of all of them and the regular He-Man. I believe that Skeletor is still up for pre-order now with Mundo, if you would like to go check that out. The timed edition and the regular one at the Mundo.com shop. And this is December the 16th, if you're interested, and it's still available. All right, let's go ahead and break open. You can see where they're actually advertising in this wave. We have He-Man. We have Stratos. He looks really good. I've pre-ordered him. And we have Triclops, which that's the way they looked in the cartoon. All right, let's go ahead and check them out. And here we are getting ready to take a look at our Masters Universe / Thundercats He-Man. And we'll first look at his accessories. And as you see, this He-Man comes with a comic strip, the Power Sword of Omens. What? There it is, though. You have Lion-O and his kind of get up, and then He-Man and his Thundercat type get up there on the front, and the bad guy symbol haunting in the background back there. But that's the little comic strip. And on the back again it shows this wave. But it's very small little comic strip, but you can check that out and read that when you would like. But there is our He-Man, and he comes, of course, with the armor that you see him wearing, but he also comes with this little helmet, which looks kind of like a cat with some spikes on its head, and then also a shield that looks like it's got, I don't know if those are supposed to be fangs or blades, kind of looks like blades, and then a regular He-Man chest armor, which has got a really nice metallic look to it, and it has our traditional He-Man crest or symbol, the Iron Cross. But that is his accessories, other than mentioning, of course, the Power Sword of Omens. And there it is, because you can kind of see it has the Sword of Omens hilt, but also the Power Sword hilt. And one side, this actually has paint apps on it. It has the closed eye. Then on the other side, the open eye, which has the Thundercats symbol in there. So really neat. And it has more of the handle of the Sword of Omens, but I would say more of the blade of the Power Sword, kinda. But there you have it. And then, of course, again, the chest armor that he's wearing, the little armband and leg band. But that is, and look, he's even got a ponytail going on. But they didn't paint the wrap, the tie. Kind of got some cat eyes going on in that. Kind of looks like the cat in Eternia, doesn't it? It's kind of neat. Kind of a neat homage to the cat face that's in the playset Eternia. That's kind of neat. Nice face sculpt. I think they do a better job sometime in Origins with the He-Man face sculpts than they do in Masterverse. But that's cool. All right. Now let's take a look at our Mike Young production 2000X He-Man and the Masters of the Universe figure and his accessories. And I did want to mention first that they have the 2000X version of the Castle Grayskull here on the box. So that's interesting to note. And there is our He-Man, and he's standing tall, he's looking good. And that's pretty much all. He does not come with a comic strip. He comes with this 2000X version of the chest armor and belt and fanny pack and loincloth. The gauntlets on his right arm's a little bit longer than the one on his left wrist. And of course there's a place to put his power sword in the back, and the power sword unfortunately has no paint apps on it. So that's a little disappointing. Very, very bland. They could have gone a long way with adding some real flair to that power sword, in my opinion. But there again, this is the cartoon line, so simplicity is the key. Now I do like this head sculpt. Now whether it looks like the cartoon, there again, that is up for debate. I'm kind of questioning that. There's what He-Man looked like in the cartoon right there. So yeah, I'm not sure if this hits the button, so to speak, on that, but it is a nice looking head sculpt. I would say that it probably looks better than the ones that we've seen in the Masterverse line. We may take a look at this head sculpt attached to a Masterverse figure here in just a few moments. But that's what he comes with. Looking cool. So now let's do some articulation, because these guys pretty much have the same articulation, but we'll look at some differences. But yeah, very similar. You can tell one thing that I'll mention just kind of on comparisons here is that the hands on the Origins over here with the Thundercats / Masters Motu / Thundercats have smaller hands, Looks like he has bigger hands over here. And even his torso looks a little longer. Like the abs look a little different. But I don't know. I'm going to change him. I'm going to go ahead and change this guy so that he will have the regular chest armor. And we're going to do a little bit of comparison during our articulation. All right, so I'll be right back. All right, I'm going to take a look at the He-Man that's a part of the Thundercat line first here so you can get a good look at him. And yeah, he's looking really good here. And I wanted you to see him. Only thing I did is take off the chest armor. You can see how that attaches. Has the fur on the shoulders. But this one now has the traditional He-Man chest armor, and it attaches the same way. You do have to pop off the head and pop off the torso to be able to get that over it, and you see that the abs look pretty much like the same abs that were in that one, and we'll look at that a little bit more in a minute. But I think this even slides off, so that's interesting. For you customizers, you could use this. This is really nice. Might have some ideas for that myself. But yeah, that is really cool. But I did put his helmet on here, and that just pops on to the front of the hair. You don't have to remove the hair or anything. Just pops on the front. It fits nicely. We'll remove that, and then I was just going to show you that. This shield, you can put it in his hand and just clip it onto his wrist there. And I wasn't able to get it quite in there. I'm sure you can. Might be better to go ahead and attach it first like this, and then roll it. But see, then it comes off. So I don't know. But anyway, it holds on fine. And yeah, they can be kind of like some blades and a shield. So it's like a double type instrument there. Weapon, shield, and some like offensive blading going on there. I'm going to pop that off. I'm not really a big fan of this shield either. But, you know, they're trying to do something different here. But I will look at the head sculpt. Articulation. He's going to be able to look up just slightly. He'll be able to look down slightly. He does get some nice pivot. Yeah, Origin sometimes gets better pivot than Masterverse figures, which is not fair, but it's been tracking that way. I like this head sculpt though, I really do. Love this metallic style chest armor with the traditional Iron Cross. I even like these little bands on his biceps. Those are kind of cool looking. And then there's one on his leg. And you know, full splits, single jointed knees, single jointed elbows, but with the ability to swivel. You've got the horizontal hinge and swivel on this side, and you have a vertical hinge for the power sword or power sword of omens on this side. And these gauntlets are very loose, so they are removable. So there you go. And of course, no articulation in the chest or stomach, but you can swivel there. Of course, you got your typical full tiptoes, go up all the way, and nice rockers with peg hole. So there's your articulation for your He-Man. That is the crossover with the Thundercats. All right, bringing on in our 2000X He-Man here. He will look up about that much. He will look down about that much. He also gets some pretty decent head pivot, and will look side to side, of course. And I just like the look of that head sculpt. I really do. I like that. And I like the chest armor. Of course, that's true to the cartoon. It's not really the Iron Cross. It's not the MH thing. or HM thing. It's more of something they went with their own. And then this one's really big here. Not a big fan of it being that big on the belt. Fanny pack they didn't paint at all, which was a missed opportunity to make it kind of shine. And if you're going to have the fanny pack, might as well make it shine. Do something. Put some, paint out. But there again, this is cartoon collection, so simplicity is key, right? But he'll swivel the waist, full 360, no bicep, no bicep turn there, swivel, but he does have the swivel at the elbow, single jointed elbows. You kind of see, the peg up in there, which is kind of weird. Yeah, they made this part here in the joint bigger than they did in the one we just looked at. These gauntlets look like they are molded in or glued on. You can't take those off, but you do have a horizontal hinge and swivel on this left arm, and then on the right arm you have a full-fledged vertical and swivel. And of course they'll go out all the way there in T-pose. Full splits. Kick up about that much. You have single jointed knee, which goes not quite full 90 degrees, but there is a swivel at that knee, and there's a boot cut. And then the feet are bigger. So he gets a full tiptoe, goes up all the way, and you get rockers with the peg hole there at the bottom. But just take a look at those feet. I mean, you can see that the feet are quite a bit bigger on the 2000X Mike Young production. So that's very interesting. And now let's do some comparisons. And the first thing I want to do is measure these two guys in. And this Origins Motu / Thundercats crossover, look at there, to the crown of his head, it is 6 inches. So this is like literally a 6-inch tall figure if you don't bend those knees at all. So that is very interesting. And then our 2000X figure comes in at 6, right there, dead on 6 1/4. 6 1/4, maybe just a hair taller than 6 1/4. So yes, this dude is taller than this dude. And again, I have him standing straight up, no bend in the knees. But you can, just like with the Origins line, you can kind of get that look and have them looking a little squatty, if you will. You can do that with both of these and get them more of that 5.5 size if you would like. But there you have it. I mean, that's looking good. Now let's do some other comparisons with some of our other figures that are Origins. And here is our two He-Mans next to the Origins Generations Legacy, the figures that went all the way through till today with our He-Man figures. And this was the cartoon or filmation type look that they were going for this figure. And here is our two He-Man figures next to, here in the middle, the actual cartoon collection He-Man. So you can definitely see how they measure up here. And then here is your original Origins He-Man. You can see how he looks next to these two. And then here is that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive again, the Legacy and Generations of He-Man. And this was their attempt at the 2000X, had those shiny weapons and had the garb there for the 2000X He-Man, but the face, it looks more like the vintage type face. But that's the way they did him there, with the shorter hair, but just with the vintage face. So I definitely think that this one looks better, in my opinion. And then here's my favorite Origins, just your traditional looking Origins, I guess, He-Man. And that's the Stranger Things that came with that 2-pack. And I just like him with that metallic chest armor and his color scheme. I just like that. And then the vintage head looked pretty decent too, I thought. And then finally here, as far as our He-Man figures in the Origin style line, we have our Turtle crossover, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle He-Man crossover, and he has like this mask thing going on, and you know, like the turtle shell armor on his gauntlet, and pauldron there, and like a little, I don't know, shawl cape thing going on over his shoulders and down his back. So this is kind of, I always called him here the He-Man in disguise. But you can see how he looks next to these. And like I said, this figure, especially when you bend his knees, kind of go in the scale with more of these. Whereas this guy just looks a little lankier and a little taller, which really, in fairness, the 2000X He-Man was a little lankier, I think. He was still big and bulky, but he was no Filmation He-Man or even, you know, your Revolution He-Man, which he was huge. But anyway, there you go. And then it's time to bring the adults in the room. Because for me, the ultimate adult collection is the Masterverse, next to classics, of course. But here you have my favorite He-Man, and that is the Revolution. It's really the battle armor He-Man buck and body. But I have the regular chest armor on him, which was a little bit more metallic, and it came with that set. He's got the Power Sword from the 2000X, San Diego Comic-Con 2-pack. That was more that vintage look of the Skeletor and He-Man that came in that 2-pack that year with the metal weapons. That's that sword he's holding. But then I've got a Hordak MX head sculpt on him that is Mundo style. He made a 1/12th version of the He-Man heads, but it's Mundo style He-Man head. But you can check out my video on that. But yeah, best He-Man in this scale. But you can see how he looks next to these other two guys. And here's our two He-Man figures next to our cartoon collection, Teela, who is just a beautiful figure in her own right. Just looks really pretty in my opinion, especially the face sculpt. So there you can see how these dudes compare to her here. She's very short. The females are very short in the Origins line. And for one more comparison, I did want to bring in a Classics. Now this is our vintage head in Classics. The vintage Classics head with the battle armor He-Man body. Just, you know, one of the original Classics bucks and everything. And you can see that even though this is the 6 1/4 height, still doesn't quite reach the level of a Classics figure. It's going to be very interesting to see how the Mundo measures in. I've seen some pictures on Instagram from their official photographer that shows that it looks like the Mundo figures are just a tad taller than Classics, but he does not compare them to Masterverse. So that's going to be interesting, but that's really neat looking there. Now for some head swaps. And I think that looks pretty good. That's your New Eternia He-Man. That's our first New Eternia He-Man that we got. That had this head sculpt, if you remember. But putting that one on there doesn't look bad. And they do fit, because Origins heads do fit on Masterverse bodies. And even though it may be a little bit smaller face-wise, I think it looks pretty decent. You can make that work. What do you think? The skin tone's almost perfect for this particular He-Man. So that's pretty neat. Let's go ahead and pop this one off. And try this one on him. See what you think of that one. Not a bad look. Not a bad look at all. I like it. Skin tone's a little bit lighter, I think, on this He-Man face than this particular skin tone. But, or at least it stands out a little bit more to me for some reason on this body. But see, if you were to put this head on here, you can see that it's definitely, this head's definitely bigger, which it will pop on there. Definitely a bigger face. But it doesn't get swallowed up too bad on this body, but it is smaller. I think I kind of like this He-Man head better just because of the hair gives it a little bit more of the size. You have a little bit more of, you know, gives it a little bit larger of a size head with the hair like that on the sides of the down hair, the hair that's down, whatever. All right. You see this buck is a little bigger, and so it almost seems like it's a little bit on the small side here compared to my Hordak MX head. Obviously, it looks more cartoonish, but you know, you could use it if you wanted to. And yes, if you wanted to swap out these heads, you could, because they do fit and the skin tone matches pretty good for both. If you wanted your 2000X He-Man body here to have longer hair or have a taller He-Man with that head sculpt, you could do that. Looks really good, I think. And I will mention that this loincloth here, you can push that down a little bit further on both of these figures to show a little bit more of the abs. But yeah, looking good. Let's see if this one comes down a little bit more. That's about as far as it's going to go. So yeah, they pretty much have the same chest. I don't know, just the way it looks like that this is a little bit taller somehow. I can't tell if it's the legs that are taller. Legs look a little bit taller too, or if it's the buck. But either way, we do know that this Cartoon Collection 2000X He-Man is taller. But yeah, and either one of those heads look good on whichever one you would desire. So yeah, whichever one you like the best, you could definitely do that. I mean, that one looked like he's walking a little bit there. It looks cool. Yeah, there we go.